Picture this. You're frantically trying to buy a metro ticket, stressed out of your mind, when suddenly you end up helping a girl who becomes totally smitten with you. Talk about a soap opera-style twist, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what you can expect in today's manga. First times, ladies. Short and sweet, just like the name suggests. So grab a seat, sit back, and let's dive into this ramming tale of a guy in a rush to catch his train. The downside is that a girl is holding up the line because she doesn't seem to know how to buy a ticket. The virtual assistant offers its help, but the girl smiles and insists she doesn't need it. Feeling a bit desperate, our boy decides to approach her, catching her by surprise. She claims she doesn't want to inconvenience anyone, but is a tad perplexed. Our hero kindly guides her through the ticket purchasing process, much to her delight. After securing her ticket, she expresses her gratitude and reveals her name as Kotane Ojo. She inquires about his name, to which he responds and offers further assistance, but she gracefully declines, hastily thanking Suwa-san. However, before she can make her grand exit, she comically collides with the ticket gate. That has happened to all of us at least once in life. But don't worry, Suwa, being very kind, explains how she has to insert the ticket to pass through. However, when Oju tries again, she bumps into the door once more. If it happens twice, something must be wrong, right? Suwa tells her she can do it a bit slower, as the door doesn't close that fast. Following his advice, she finally passes through. As they say goodbye, Suwa notices Oju looking a bit lost and is concerned. He decides to accompany her, and she lights up with excitement. Oju is happily and curiously observing her surroundings on the train when Suwa asks if she's a train newbie. She replies that she's been on a few trains but around Switzerland. Suwa can't help but wonder if she's secretly a royal in disguise or something. She tells him she wanted to get on by herself, so she researched everything beforehand, though Suwa thinks she didn't do it all that well. But looking at her sad puppy expression, he instantly apologizes. This is where Oju reveals that she's always had everything taken care of for her, so now she wants to do some things on her own and learn a lot. Beautiful, right? Suwa tells her she can keep her ticket as a memento and reminds her that he only gave her instructions for buying it, so technically she did buy it herself. This guy really knows how to impress a girl. You guys take notes too. Then Oju, with a smile, tells Suwa-san that she'll boast about him to everyone, though he asked her not to. That's right, friends, love is in the air, or at least that's what I think. Our Sigma guy even escorts her to Oju Mansion, which looks beyond his thinking. Well, this marks the end of his first meeting with the royal lady. Later, when Oju is at home, she tells her father she has something to ask him. I wonder what it could be. The next day, we see Suwa in class, almost dozing off, but he's startled awake because a new girl enters the room. And surprise, it's none other than Ojo. It turns out she's from a famous family that makes toys, and she's quite popular herself. Cheerfully, Oju approaches Suwa, telling him she's thrilled to see him again, and even more so to be in the same class. Smells like love, doesn't it? Do you think she pulled some strings to be here? She takes a seat beside Suwa, even though he points out another student is missing that day. But the teacher waves it off, leaving Suwa feeling flustered and confused since he never expected to see this girl again. Coincidence, fate, or just a twist of the story? Whatever it is, what he doesn't expect is for Oju to grab his hand and ask for help with her first time. Now, don't get the wrong idea, it's not what you think. She explains that she's simply looking for a good teacher. Okay, maybe that still sounds weird, but it's truly innocent. Poor Suwa though, he's mortified as the rest of the class overhears, and the usual gossip kicks up, sparking all kinds of rumors. Suwa ponders about Oju, who is up to enjoy some firsts with him, but he is frustrated that she is catching attention with her careless remarks. Then at lunchtime he asks if she has brought any food. She says no, but her stomach growls, and she feels really embarrassed. When his friend catches a glimpse of this, jealousy creeps in, but Suwa swoops in and whisks her off to the cafeteria for lunch, much to the surprise of their classmates. With plenty of food options in front of her, she's simultaneously thrilled and a tad anxious for her first cafeteria experience. He shows her how to buy food with a meal coupon. Oju is thrilled by trying new things, and when they sit down, she's surprised by the amount of food she received. Suwa, meanwhile, just hopes she doesn't stain her uniform. Cleanliness is key. As they start eating, Suwa notices her unique eating style. Ojou, excited by the food, even wants to thank the chef. Suwa remembers how his school food was awful in comparison. Yes, he's calling them out. Ojou happily offers him some of her food, though the others around them gossip, making him nervous. But in the end, he accepts her offer, and as if on cue, the thing Suwa feared happens. Ojou spills food on her shirt. Suwa sighs, knowing exactly how gross it feels when that happens. He finds it bad to see her spend her remaining day with this stain. So always the helpful guy, Suwa suggests they go wash her shirt before the stain sets in. He somehow manages to get detergent from a teacher, and when they get there, Ojou is delighted, saying it's her first time washing anything, thanks to her privileged life. She starts removing her shirt without hesitation, leaving Suwa flustered by her lack of modesty, but he quickly hands her his jacket to cover up. With that, he begins explaining how to wash the shirt and how to scrub it properly, showing some real skill. Ojou, impressed, wonders aloud how Suwa-san knows so much about it. He explains that his younger sister always made a mess, so he was the one who ended up washing their clothes. This touches Ojou, who comments on how kind and sweet he is, recalling his past heroic acts. See? The seeds of romance are definitely being planted here. Although she struggles a bit at first, he encourages her, saying she's a curious girl and will surely learn lots of things. His words make her really happy. One of those things she'll learn may even be love. Following Suwa's advice, everything goes smoothly, and both of them are cheerful. Just then the bell rings, and she heads to class first. The downside, Suwa forgets to ask for his jacket back, so when they return to class, everyone notices. Ojou this time manages to explain herself well enough, surprising everyone with Suwa's kindness. The guys are clearly jealous of Suwa's advancement. Our boy's definitely a protagonist material. However, because Ojou tends to overshare, she mentions it was her first time, and other details that could easily be misinterpreted. So much for trying to avoid attention. He didn't manage that at all. By the end of the day, Ojou is thrilled with everything she's learned, but Suwa feels a bit down, knowing rumors will continue. The next day, the teacher announces that everyone needs to remember to bring their ingredients for the cooking day, mentioning they'll be cooking the next time they all meet. Hearing this, Ojou lights up with excitement like she won some kind of award, and points out that she'll get to be in the same group as Suwa-san, looking forward to the class eagerly, while he, with a clueless look, can only think to himself that this isn't some sort of setup. He just somehow keeps getting involved with Ojou. She moves close to him, cheerfully telling him they should give it their best. He responds, a bit blankly, by asking her where she usually buys her ingredients. A bit surprised, she admits she just goes to her favorite store for them. Suwa, trying to wrap his head around it, wonders if she even knows where to buy them, suspecting that she orders her food instead. He suggests they go buy dinner ingredients together, and she nods eagerly. Once they enter the store, Ojou looks around, wide-eyed, marveling at the lively atmosphere. She notices the apples and comments on how amazing it all feels, even calling it a dream. When he asks if she likes apples, she nods, mentioning how exquisite the tortilla was that she tried recently. Suwa admits he can't even imagine what that might taste like. Our poor guy. They continue shopping, and she gets fascinated by the potatoes, asking if a pile would be enough to start with. He gently corrects her, suggesting 6 potatoes instead. She then wonders aloud which ones are the tastiest, baffled at the idea of choosing the best potatoes. After finally picking some potatoes, she notices how fast things are disappearing from the shelves. Suwa advises her to go with her gut instinct for this kind of stuff, and she nods, picking up a whole bunch of potatoes, and declaring it's time to move on to carrots. Seeing her struggle, he brings over a shopping cart and explains its purpose, telling her to put her items in there instead. Ojou, curious as ever, asks if she can hold the cart, and he agrees they can switch when it gets too heavy. She grabs it excitedly, practically glowing with enthusiasm, making Suwa think she looks more like she's on a fun shopping trip than simply getting groceries. He tells her it's his turn to shop now, and she eagerly asks what he plans to buy. Suwa tells her he's going to get ingredients to make curry, including some chicken. She becomes thoughtful, noting the price differences based on type and expiration dates, carefully considering which is the best. Suwa reassures her that she doesn't have to overthink it, but she insists on choosing the healthiest option, noting that his well-being matters to her. Amused, he watches as she joyfully dives into picking each item. Suwa notes to himself how Ojou seems to enjoy everything she does with her whole heart. They continue on, but Suwa is startled to see her struggling under the weight of the basket. Concerned, he takes it from her, quipping that it's a bit too heavy. She thanks him and suggests they hold it together, which makes him flustered. Trying to stay cool, he says he'll take care of it, appreciating her offer but thinking it'll only make things harder if they both try to carry it. Then a familiar face appears. It's Adachi, a classmate who works at the store. He greets them, surprised to see them shopping together, and can't help but wonder aloud if they're dating. Suwa, sensing the direction of Adachi's words, quickly changes the subject, asking where to find the curry roof. Adachi, a bit caught off guard, directs them to the right aisle. As they head there, Ojou smiles, calling Adachi a pleasant guy. Suwa, a bit embarrassed, tells her to forget about him. Just then, a store announcement rings out, a limited-time egg sale for 95 yen per pack. Suwa realizes they're late for the sale and hurries to get in line, but the crowd is intense, and he ends up pushed to the floor, muttering how tough it is to get the eggs. Ojou, watching in amazement, comments on how crowded it is, and he explains that it's first come, first served. With newfound determination, she decides to try her hand at navigating the crowd. She admits she's never done this before, but she seems excited by the challenge. Suwa is taken aback by her zeal as she approaches the line, only to be immediately pushed back by the crowd. She decides to tackle the crowd differently, choosing to approach calmly and politely. Suwa watches in disbelief as she gracefully makes her way through, greeting people along the way, and finally picks up 2 packs of eggs, returning with a proud smile. She hands them to him, happily saying she hopes she's been helpful. Still stunned by her smooth approach with the crowd, Suwa laughs, saying he's never seen anyone pull off a stunt like that. Taking the eggs from her, he jokes about her generosity, surprised she's giving him both, and thanks her as she giggles sweetly. When they leave the mall, he takes out a small bottle of drink, handing it to her as thanks for the day, noting he managed to save quite a bit thanks to her. Smiling, Ojou replies that she also had a great time, glad her groceries are now in order. Leaning in, she tells him to invite her out any time. Suwa, a bit flustered, mumbles that maybe he'll take her up on that someday. Just then, a royal car pulls up, and a driver suggests Ojou take the car home since she has a lot of belongings, saying it would be better than the rough ride by train. Suwa stares at the impressively long car, commenting on its size. After some thought, they both sit inside, where Ojou fumbles with the bottle trying to open it. Suwa suggests using a straw, and the driver promptly hands one to her. She pokes the straw into the bottle and takes a sip, smiling as she declares it the most delightful drink she's ever had. The next day in the cooking class, Ojou proudly shows off her groceries, mentioning she picked out the potato and carrot with Suwa-san's help. Adachi, not missing the chance, quickly announces to everyone that they went to his part-time job for shopping. Suwa, trying to keep things a bit secret, warns Adachi he's about to lose a customer, prompting him to apologize instantly. One morning, Suwa spots the ever-curious Ojou and hopes to slip by unnoticed, but of course he's out of luck. She's busy peeking inside a public locker, utterly fascinated by the interior. Watching her in action, he sighs, knowing he can't just walk away. He heads over, wondering what she's doing, and quickly realizes her attention span is like a puppy's, all over the place. Ojou eagerly explains that she was waiting for him to walk to school together, but she got sidetracked by the locker. Suwa, giving in, offers to walk with her, though he wonders aloud if every shiny object will distract her. Just then, she spots another locker and wants to investigate, explaining how the shape is different from the last one. It's just lockers, Suwa thinks, but he plays along, casually mentioning that the other ones only take coins. Bro is annoyed but can't show it, of course, as he is a green flag in a world full of red carpets. Then comes the million-dollar question, is there anything she could store in one? He gives her a friendly warning to remember to come back for it later, but just as he thinks they're about to move on, she asks if she can press the crosswalk button. A sigh escapes him, realizing that Ojou's attention span is shorter than he thought. With a hint of reluctance, he tells her she can go ahead, inwardly bracing himself for whatever mischief she might conjure next. When she questions whether it's okay to press the button several times, Suwa chuckles to himself, jokingly pondering if they should save their button pressing for nighttime. Ojou's face drops momentarily, and she plops down on a corner, making him wonder if he might have spooked her. He tries to coax her up, insisting they need to get moving before they're late. Curiosity takes hold, and she wonders what will happen if they are late. Sua's mind races with the thought of a punishment involving cleaning up, and he realizes that this seems to excite her rather than deter her. Her innocent enthusiasm continues to shine as she explains how all she did was look out the car window, which sparked her fascination with everything around her. Suddenly, she grabs his hand, and a flustered expression crosses his face. Ojou has no sense of embarrassment, making his discomfort even more pronounced. He quickly pulls his hand away, flustered by her boldness and the realization that she doesn't even realize the effect she has on him. Just when he thinks he's escaped her antics, she spots a stuffed toy with the name Nozomi written on it. She is eager to help, declaring she must deliver it immediately. He tries to stop her, concerned about her being late, but her enthusiasm is infectious, and he finds himself swept up in her excitement. With her heart set on returning the handmade stuffed animal to its owner, Ojou insists that it's precious to the child. Sua is impressed by her determination, thinking this could be a serious mission. Deciding to accompany her, he charges ahead, urging her to keep up as she starts to run. Once they enter the building, Ojou calls out for Nozomi, and Sua can't help but feel the chaos around them. The little girl appears, looking confused. Ojou approaches her and asks if she dropped the toy, and to their surprise, Nozomi confirms it's hers, explaining how her mom made it for her to keep her from feeling lonely at school. Ojou beams at this heartfelt moment, glad she can deliver the toy. As Sua catches up, he notices Ojou has already made a connection with the girl, leaving him to wonder how he ended up in this situation. Finally, they need to hurry to school. He insists they get a move on before they're late, and the little girl thanks them both. In a moment of pure charm, Ojou bows like a princess, causing Sua to facepalm internally. Walking back to school, Ojou expresses how amazing it feels to do something nice. Her excitement is contagious, making him realize that, despite all the chaos, there's something special about sharing this day with her. As they rush, she notices Ojou panting and checks on her. She assures him she'll be fine, but he can't shake the feeling that she sounds a bit unconvincing. As they hurry along, Ojou playfully points out that he'll be late if he keeps pace with her. With a casual shrug, he tells himself that he might as well take it easy. After all, they can clean up together later, and honestly, he's a bit tired. Hearing this, Ojou clings to him, filled with excitement about staying late. His flustered state intensifies as he thinks about how she has no qualms about getting close. Ojou smiles shyly, feeling warm and comfortable being with him, as if they can conquer anything together. Thus, Ojou's royal habit of saying "my pleasure" went viral like a funny meme at the elementary school. Later, Ojou sadly reflects that she has never had a friend before. At her previous school, she and her classmates all commuted by car, which meant they didn't really interact on campus. Sua raises an eyebrow, remembering that she seemed to talk to guys in class like everyone else. Ojou admits she can hold conversations but still feels distant from others. With excitement, she expresses her desire for true friendships, sharing that she's heard people get close by putting their arms around each other. Sua asks her what kind of image she has of a friend, teasing her a bit, considering that she claims she has never had one. Just then, a girl calls out to Sua, asking if he can help with the science lab cleanup since the place is empty due to cram school. He agrees, and Ojou sees this as her chance to make a friend and asks to join. Sua nods in approval, and the girl excitedly inquires if Ojou is helping too. Ojou gets flustered and clings to Sua, who playfully asks what happened to her earlier enthusiasm. She quickly pulls away, claiming she just got flustered thinking about making friends. As they approach the cleanup area, Sua notices Tamakawa and Yumoto. He encourages them to keep Ojou busy. Thei both agree to help. As they start cleaning, Sua and the others assign Ojou a small section to tackle. She's full of eagerness, but it's clear she's a bit clueless, exclaiming about how lovely the day is while wielding a broom like it's a magic wand. Sua, trying to keep a straight face, watches her and eventually calls her over, remarking on her unusual excitement. Ojou decides it's the perfect moment to suggest they grab lunch together sometime, apologizing for her earlier display and asking if this is what being friends feels like. He jokingly asks if he should be the one to tell the girls about it, but Ojou insists she'll say it herself after they finish cleaning up. Suwa can't help but laugh, realizing she might just be the most adorable clueless person he's ever met. Then Suwa helps her to get on a stool to clean glass and comments about their close distance. Ojou dismisses his concerns, saying he doesn't need to be worked up about it. Suwa likes the sound of that and muses about how he never really thought about how to make friends. Suddenly, Tomokawa calls out to Suwa about taking out the trash, but Ojou is too focused on cleaning to hear. As she scrubs the glass, it makes a weird noise, causing Suwa to cover his ears in annoyance. Tomokawa checks in on him, asking if he's okay and needs help, to which he replies it's not a big deal. Suwa then asks Ojou if she managed to clean the top part, thinking about how awkward the position looked. As he glances up, he notes something, making him flustered. Ojou cheerfully calls out to him, pointing out how spotless the area is now. Just as she steps off the stool, Suwa exclaims in shock at how close that was, apologizing for letting go of the stool. She giggles, finding the moment amusing and calling it a bit scary. Turning his face away, Suwa nervously asks her to get down already. Once they finish cleaning, Tomokawa expresses relief at finishing up early, thanking both of them for their help. Ojou smiles, claiming the pleasure was all hers. Nervously, she expresses her desire to be friends with both Tomokawa and Umoto. They exchange surprised glances. Defensively, Ojou admits she tends to cause trouble for Suwa-san and everyone else, but she really wants to get to know them better. After a moment of consideration, Tomokawa asks if Ojou wants to go to the convenience store with them. She eagerly agrees. Suwa congratulates Ojou on making new friends, but decides to head home first, encouraging her to go ahead with Tomokawa. Ojou, feeling nervous, asks Suwa to stay with her too, and he reluctantly agrees. As they walk to the store, Tomokawa remarks that she never thought she'd be grabbing food with her. Suwa observes Ojou's pleasant expression and teases her, noting that her face says it all. As she enters the store, Ojou's eyes light up at the rich selection of boxed lunches available. Tomokawa reminds her that she's breaking character, but Suwa agrees, saying this is how she really is. Getting lost in the display, Suwa approaches her and offers to treat her as a thank you for helping with the cleanup, joking about being stuck in the store forever. He holds up a tasty salmon box and she suggests heading to the park after buying their food. Sitting in the park, Ojou cluelessly wonders how to open the wrap. Omoto asks if this is her first time having a convenience store rice ball. He takes the wrap from her, saying to wait while he opens it for her. Tomokawa chimes in, saying she'll be able to do it easily once she learns the steps. Suwa, a bit frustrated, tells Tomokawa to be quiet as he teaches Ojou how to open it by following the numbers and markings. Holding the envelope, she decides to give it a try. Tomokawa advises her to pull it all the way to the end on the back side. Ojou successfully unwraps it, only to accidentally rip it a bit. Excitedly, she exclaims that she did it, comparing it to a magic trick. Tomokawa smiles, saying the person who made it sure did a great job, while Ojou asks Suwa if she can dig in now. As she takes her first bite, she giggles in delight, saying it tastes exquisite. Omoto expresses happiness that she likes it so much, mentioning how the convenience store often has new goods that many classmates enjoy. Tomokawa suggests they all return to the store again, and Omoto invites her to eat with them tomorrow. Suwa watches the three of them, realizing there's nothing to worry about after all. That night, back at home, Ojou excitedly tells her father about her successful attempt at opening the wrap, and he praises her for having good friends. The setting changes as Suwa cheerfully says good morning to Ojou, but her reaction quickly shifts to shock when she sees him with a bike. His excuse: he just wanted to pick up some rice on his way home, no big deal. Ojou's interest peaks as she asks for a turn on the bike, and Suwa, with a simple nod, allows her to hop on for a ride. But as she awkwardly tries to balance, Suwa can't help but tease her about her riding experience. Ojou, completely clueless, insists it's her first time, which leaves Suwa raising an eyebrow in disbelief. She confidently claims she's doing fine, but her bravado quickly crumbles as she lets out a panicked scream for help. Now, walking beside him, she laments that little kids ride bikes all the time, yet here she is, flailing around and discovering that bicycles are more challenging than they look. When she asks if riding is as convenient as it seems, Suwa nods, saying it's pretty nice for getting to places that are a bit far away. He adds that aimlessly riding along the riverside on a day off feels fantastic. Ojou's eyes light up with excitement as she declares she wants to ride too. Just then, her butler calls out to her, and after school, she's determined to learn how to ride a bicycle. She's taken aback when she discovers her butler brought it all the way to school, making her think he's watching over her from a distance. Ojou, brimming with confidence, declares she'll try riding without any hesitation, asking if it's okay to ride on the school grounds, especially since Suwa-san has shopping to do. He reassures her he got permission from the teacher and can get the rice another day. As her butler advises them to be careful, Suwa ponders how he can't take his eyes off her. Ojou leans in, believing it'll be easier to ride with good posture, and when she asks for his opinion, he encourages her. After she gets a bit comfortable, she wonders what to do next. Suwa playfully asks if standing takes all her effort, to which she responds by requesting him to ride it around just once. With a grin, he agrees and hops on the bike, showing her how it's done. Ojou watches in awe, exclaiming that his adaptability is impressive, jokingly asking if he's a pro. Suwa feels flustered by the compliment, thinking it's embarrassing to be praised just for getting on the bike. He advises her to kick the ground and push herself forward, 1 foot at a time. She hesitantly climbs back on, convincing herself she might actually be able to do this. As she slowly begins to ride, her excitement builds, and she confidently declares she'll try going faster. Suwa attempts to warn her about the dangers of speed, but she's too caught up in the thrill to listen, resulting in a comical tumble. Concerned, he rushes to check on her, relieved when she brushes off her fall. She insists she's okay and vows to keep trying, but he's suddenly flustered as he notices her skirt hiked up a bit too high. He awkwardly asks her to change into a tracksuit before continuing, feeling like a gentleman with a side of embarrassment. Ojou dashes off to change, reappearing in a tracksuit that could make anyone question their focus. Her friends, Tomokawa and Aomoto, are taken aback by her new look. Meanwhile, Suwa mumbles about needing a change himself, realizing he can't let Ojou distract him too much. Adachi catches sight of him and teases him, remarking how wacky he looks. Moments later, Ojou reappears, declaring it's time for some serious training. This puts Suwa in a bit of a fluster, and he wonders what exactly she's implying. She insists she'll master the bike in no time, but after several more failed attempts, she finds herself sitting on the ground looking sadder than a puppy in a rainstorm. To lift her spirits, he suggests they can always try again tomorrow, because what's more fun than teaching your girls something? This guy clearly knows how to seize a chance. The next day, they're back at it, and onlookers can't help but glance at their streak of failed attempts. Suwa reflects that they're attracting a lot of attention. He wouldn't be surprised if they start charging admission. Ojou's determination shines through as she sits up straighter, convinced her horseback riding experience gives her an edge. After all, if she can manage a horse, how hard could a bike be? He raises an eyebrow, questioning if she's really willing to go through all this effort just to ride a bike. She beams back, saying it's all worth it if it means new adventures, especially riding along the riverside with him. When she asks him to support her waist again, he immediately agrees, knowing it's hard to say no to such a request. However, he notices she's bending over again and asks in disbelief if she really meant her waist. Bro can't believe his ears. She hums in response, and he quickly warns her not to make any weird sounds. After what feels like an eternity, he finally tells her she's getting the hang of it, pedaling like a pro. Hold on, not yet. She lights up, excited that she's finally making progress. She asks him to commute to school with her once she's mastered the bike. He nods, secretly thrilled that she's always so enthusiastic. He thinks having a goal like this gives her those adorable sparkles in her eyes. She thanks him, and just when it seems like they're about to achieve greatness, she leans in more, asking him to hold her tight once again. Suwa's face turns beet red, and he exclaims for her to have a little shame. Just then, Tomokawa-san arrives with snacks, treating their little bike adventure like an epic battle for survival. Ojou's face lights up at the sight of snacks, which is basically the magic spell to make her forget all about the bike accidents. As Tomokawa cheers her on, she thanks Aomoto too while clinging to Suwa, not missing a chance to be close to him, leaving him flustered and annoyed at the same time. Meanwhile, Ojou's butler watches from the window, smiling in satisfaction. Days pass, and Ojou still struggles to master the bike, but everyone's cheering her on. Suwa is there, supporting her while Tomokawa and Aomoto keep motivating her. Suwa feels like he's juggling more than just bike training with all these spectators around. He thinks, I gotta focus on supporting Ojou, not the entire fan club. After what feels like an eternity, she finally starts to ride forward on her bike. Feeling like a proud parent, Suwa encourages her to keep up the speed while Tomokawa and Yumoto cheer louder than a football crowd. Ojou beams smugly, claiming she's one step closer to her goal, and for a moment she feels like she's flying. Just as she revels in her triumph, she cluelessly asks, How do you stop? Suwa's eyes widen in panic, realizing he has forgotten the most crucial lesson. He sprints after her, frantically yelling to hit the brakes. In the end, after a few more days of practice and a few more bruises, Ojou finally learns to ride properly. Suwa sighs with relief, but he's secretly grateful he didn't have to become an accidental stuntman. It's starting to rain when Suwa hears a familiar voice. Yep, it's Ojou, patiently showing an elderly lady how to buy a ticket. Surprised, Suwa watches as she smiles and cheerfully helps the lady, who is now delighted to have her ticket. He hadn't expected to bump into Ojou after school, much less see her playing travel guide. She walks over to Suwa with a warm smile, making small talk about their unexpected after-school encounter. When he brings up the ticket tutorial she gave the elderly lady, she proudly shares how she managed to help her thanks to his earlier advice. This leaves Suwa mildly baffled. He's not used to Ojou being so on top of things. He can't help but throw in a bit of praise, which she immediately tries to pass back to him, claiming he's the great teacher. She even jokes about covering his fare next time, to which he teases her about her dinner plans, discovering she's off to celebrate her new bike riding skills with her dad. Suwa chuckles. Her dad sounds like a pretty cool guy. As they chat, Suwa suddenly realizes she doesn't have an umbrella. Ojou mentioned she gave it to a young girl who needed shelter from the rain. Soon, that same girl pops up, teasing Ojou about sharing an umbrella with Suwa, calling them a lovey-dovey pair. Suwa waves her off, but Ojou is more than happy to play along, acting extra excited about sharing the umbrella as if it's something couples do. Suwa's just trying to keep it together, but Ojou pulls him close, all smiles and blushes, happily pointing out how this brings them closer than usual. Flustered, Suwa tries to act unfazed, but inside, he's screaming, his shoulders about to brush hers, and they're way too close for his usual comfort. He's about to pull away, but she casually reminds him his shoulder is getting wet, prompting him to keep her close under the umbrella. Just when things seem manageable, a passing car splashes water right at them. Without thinking, Suwa jumps in front of her like a superhero, shielding her from the splash. Ojou is wide-eyed, impressed, as she insists on drying him off with his own towel. Suwa tries to refuse, but she's already hard at work, wiping him down with a level of vigor that nearly knocks him over. He tries to explain a gentler approach, but she's clearly on a mission, dabbing at his clothes, determined to repay him for his heroic move. As she dabs away, Suwa feels himself getting redder and redder, especially when she leans in a little too close, making him a flustered mess. Ojou doesn't notice, instead jokingly asking if he's feeling sick since he's so red. Suwa mutters his thanks and suggests they hurry up. She casually rests her head on his shoulder as they walk, unfazed by his red-faced discomfort. She even offers him the body heat to stay warm, clearly oblivious to the effect she's having on him. She then brings up something her father once said about cherishing your first times, and hints that she'd like Suwa to be a part of hers, in whatever lies ahead. Suwa's entire face goes tomato red as she leans closer, and he stammers, unsure of what she means by first. He clumsily tries to wriggle out of her embrace, and in the process, their umbrella slips to the ground. Ojou looks up, noticing the rain has stopped, revealing a rainbow in the sky. Suwa sarcastically suggests taking a photo instead of trying to display the rainbow in her room. She lights up and fumbles with her phone, eventually asking a passerby to take a photo of them together. Suwa reluctantly agrees, keeping his tough guy look as Ojou clings to him, grinning ear to ear. After snapping the photo, she cheerily promises to send him a copy. As they part ways, Ojou promises to send him the photo later, casually revealing they'd now exchanged contact info without him even realizing. As Suwa watches her walk away, he's left sitting on the road, hands over his face, wondering what she meant by "my first." Is it really what he thinks? He's not so sure, but the thought keeps racing through his mind. Meanwhile, their friends have been watching the whole scene from a distance, sighing in disbelief. The girls can't help but wish he'd just run after her and end their suspense. But Aomoto, ever the romantic, suggests it's much more fun to watch him sweat it out. Tamakawa is absorbed in a book, laughing out loud at a particularly funny part, which catches Oju's attention. Curious, she glances over to see what has her friends so entertained. Grinning, Tamakawa explains that she's engrossed in a shoujo manga she's really into at the moment. Eyes widening with interest, Oju listens intently as Tamakawa offers to lend her the manga. She eagerly accepts, then excitedly shares with Suwa that it's her first time borrowing manga from a friend. She's looking forward to reading it, especially since she's never tried manga before. He teases that she'll get hooked and end up pulling all-nighters. The next day, when they meet, Oju excitedly exclaims how interesting the manga was, but Suwa notices she has dark circles under her eyes. She explains that after getting hooked on the intriguing start, she ended up reading the whole thing out of curiosity about the rest of the story. Suwa comments that she's definitely into it now, and she admits it's the first time she has felt this way. Getting closer, Oju shyly asks him to go out with her, excitedly expressing that she wants to experience the same things as in the manga to understand how the characters feel. Suwa sees the opportunity and suggests they could try that here since it seems like no one is around. Oju enthusiastically agrees and wants to know what they should do. As they read the most intimate part, Suwa describes the Keben moment, where one person corners another against a wall, causing their heart to skip a beat. He immediately scolds himself for saying something so silly, but Oju is ready to give it a try. She insists on starting first and playfully slams him against the wall like prey, asking if his heart skipped a beat. He instinctively nods in agreement, thinking how close she was. Oju, the queen of trying new things, then asks him to do it for her. This completely freaks him out, but she reassures him that it's no bother. Summoning his courage, he gets closer, thinking he has to be brave, and with a smirk, he tells her she isn't getting away from him. Oju gleams with excitement, saying that her heart actually skipped a beat and that it was an incredible display of determination. Still shocked, Suwa thinks about how her heart skipped a beat in that way. Oju smiles and remarks on how breathtaking it is for both the one doing it and the one receiving it. Turning his flustered face away, Suwa wonders if this is too complicated for high schoolers. Oju then muses about whether she will ever know how it feels. Curious, Suwa asks which part she's talking about when Adachi sneaks up on them, exclaiming that he saw everything and implying Oju told Suwa to go out with her. Suwa mutters under his breath, thinking Adachi has misunderstood everything, and questions where he has been sneaking off to. Oju, concerned, asks if they are being chased, to which Suwa confirms they are, whether they like it or not. Oju suggests they go in another direction, and when he asks where, she pulls him into a cupboard, excitedly explaining that characters in the manga went in there too, and that this is her first time trying it. Suwa is flustered and warns her that if someone sees them, it could lead to awkward misunderstandings. Oju teases him, pressing herself closer and playfully saying it tickles, pushing Suwa further onto the edge. He tries to remind her not to move too much when suddenly the door swings open, causing both of them to tumble out like a pile of clothes from an overcrowded closet. Omoto pops up and comments on their hiding spot, apologizing for not being able to stop Adachi in his excitement. Oju claims responsibility for dragging Suwa-san in there, but he tries to clarify that it could cause a misunderstanding if it's said that way. He only went along with her out of interest in manga. Adachi perks up at the mention of manga and expresses interest in sharing one he has, leading Oju to excitedly reveal her prized possession that she was going to lend to Suwa-san. Seeing Adachi's reaction, Suwa insists they should make a run for it, prompting them to flee. After a bit of distance, he feels safe and comments on how they seem to be in the clear. Oju beams with joy, declaring it was fun and that she feels like she has leveled up. Suwa agrees, glad to hear that, and asks if she's had enough. She playfully calls him out for being reserved, and he assures her he's all in now and ready to try everything at this point. Oju then shows him a part of the manga where characters are kissing, and he is taken aback, questioning if she really wants to do that. She smirks playfully, causing him to stutter about how it probably wouldn't be a good idea. She dismisses it and says it's no bother if they skip that part. Nervously, he suggests they at least hold hands. Oju eagerly asks if he's sure and comments on how his hands are as big as she thought. He awkwardly tells her not to grip them so tightly, but she looks at him intently and explains that the gentleman in the manga acted reluctant towards the girl because he liked her. Getting closer, she questions whether he actually likes her. Suwa jumps back, insisting he doesn't hate her but is just being neutral about it. Ojou sweetly declares that she is definitely fond of him. Just then, Adachi's excited cheers come from behind, much to Suwa's annoyance, as Ojou beams with delight at the unexpected attention. Ojou stands alone, replaying Suwa's words in her mind, feeling a little guilty. She thinks about how he must have rushed back to school after realizing he'd forgotten something important. It's calm and quiet here, so she decides to relax for a moment, letting herself unwind. Suddenly, a noise catches her attention, and she spins around, curious and a bit startled. To her surprise, she spots a girl pulling off a flawless stunt. Something like a back hip circle. It looks so cool. Ojou has always thought about trying it, but she's been warned it's dangerous. Before she knows it, the girl is standing next to her, grinning and saying it's really no big deal. It's easy, she assures her. Just get some momentum and kick up. Ojou's curiosity gets the best of her, and she decides to try. She grabs onto the bar for support, but instead of a smooth back hip circle, she just spins around awkwardly. Not quite what she was going for, but it's a start. The girl admires her effort, praising her strong kick and suggesting they try again. Ojou thinks the girl is really nice and sweet, realizing there's so much to learn from little kids. The little girl spots Ren-kun and excitedly calls out to him, but he hesitates, saying he doesn't want to play right now because he's super focused, like he is on some secret mission. Ojou asks if the boy is his friend, and Suzuna nods, saying they've had some weirdness lately but she wants to be pals again. Ojou waves at the boy, asking if she can join him, and he agrees, charmed by her smile. As she starts to climb, the girl reminds her there are stairs on the other side, encouraging her to use those instead. Once she makes it up, Ojou enjoys the view, feeling like a queen on her throne. She mentions wanting to be friends with both of them, and they both seem to like that idea. Ojou, not quite sure of how to play it cool, slides down in a silly way, making the girl burst out laughing and remarking on how funny Ojou is. She's so clumsy, looking as if she were a circus actress. She hops on the swing, and Suzuna watches, impressed, saying she's pretty good at it. Ojou reminisces about a swing in her garden that she used to enjoy. Suzuna can't believe there was a swing in the garden. Just then, Ren arrives and sits on the swing next to Ojou. As he swings higher, his shoes fly off in the air, which is definitely a new thing for the queen Ojou. She can't help but be surprised at Ren's stunt, praising him for his awesome skills and asking how he did it. Ren gets a bit flustered by the attention, and Ojou asks him to teach her how to do it. Meanwhile, Suzuna plans to keep an eye out for any incoming playground traffic. Ren starts explaining his technique, suggesting she take off her shoes up to her heels, and then swing around while kicking them off at the same time she goes forward. She gives it a try, and successfully sends her shoe flying away, but to their surprise it wasn't that far, and Ren quickly realizes that's not quite what he meant. Ojou, however, is thrilled that she managed to launch at least one shoe, and asks Ren to show her again. Suzuna cheers her on, excitedly noting that the distance is growing with each attempt. Ojou is practically bouncing with excitement as she sees her shoes starting to fly off little by little. Ren wonders why it seems so fun even when she can't quite nail it, realizing it's about the joy of trying and getting closer to the goal. After a few attempts, Ojou hops off the swing and gives both Ren and Suzuna a big hug, feeling grateful for learning something new, whether it's back hip circles or shoe kicking. Ren gets all flustered and embarrassed, while Suzuna giggles at the scene. Ren turns to Suzuna and suggests she teach him how to do a back hip circle next time. Suzuna playfully demands that Ren show her how to play the games he's good at. Ren hesitates, teasing that he doesn't want to because she's not the best at them. Ojou smiles at their playful banter and remarks how they're such good friends. Ren admits it's thanks to her for helping him break the ice with Suzuna, saying it was getting harder to talk to her as she improved on the bars. He thanks Ojou for giving him the chance to have fun, even if he can't quite do it himself. They wave goodbye, promising to play together again soon. As Ojou watches them leave with a smile, she thinks about Suwa and how she'd like to be good friends too. Just then, Suwa arrives, wondering where Ojou is since she mentioned waiting. He's shocked to see her attempting a back hip circle and asks what she's doing. Ojou excitedly tells him that they taught her how to do it and that she wants to get better by the next time they meet. Suwa is taken aback when he realizes Ojou is stuck up there and quickly helps her down. She thanks him for the rescue, but he can't help but notice her dirty back and asks what happened. Climbing back onto the pool, Ojou explains her plan to go up and over, but Suwa interrupts, pointing out that she's not going anywhere. He spots her torn leggings and she casually shrugs it off, saying they must have gotten caught somewhere. Suwa suggests they save the practice for another day since her leggings are more ripped than a superhero's outfit. Ojou brushes it off, insisting it's no big deal and that she'll just take the leggings off. Suwa freaks out a little, saying that's definitely not the solution and that she should just throw on a tracksuit instead. He insists they come back tomorrow after school because he's pretty good on the bars. Ojou giggles and tells him she expected nothing less from him, sealing their promise with a laugh. When Suwa gets home, his sister Suzuna greets him with excitement, telling him she played with a lady she's never met at the park. Curious, he asks what she was like, and Suzuna describes her as an interesting person. Suwa smiles, thinking that sounds nice, but adds a little caution, reminding her not to follow someone she just met. Suwa stares blankly at his test result, feeling a wave of despair wash over him. A score of 58, and a note stating that anyone scoring below 65 has to take a makeup test. Just fantastic. Ojou glances at him, curiosity lighting up her expression. She wonders what's bothering him, but he quickly brushes it off, acting like it's no big deal. Then he turns the tables and asks her about her results, and when he sees her score of 120, his jaw drops. That's impressive. Suddenly he's leaning in, practically begging her for study help. Ojou's heart skips a beat. This is the first time he's ever asked her for something. It's her golden opportunity to repay him for all the kindness he's shown her. With a cheerful expression, she assures him she's got this. After school, they head to the library for their study session. Suwa can't help but grin, feeling optimistic as he says he's counting on her. Ojou, excited and slightly flustered, leans in closer, which makes him question if this is really how study sessions go. Why is she so close? He tries to remind her that personal space exists, but she just shifts, and now she's practically glued to his side. She's fidgeting a lot, and he can't help but notice. When she excitedly asks if he has any questions, he leans in closer to whisper that she's being a little loud. Come on, they might get kicked out. As she starts explaining things, he thinks she's a natural teacher, but wonders why she has to be so close. Getting flustered, he decides to move over, thinking maybe a little distance will help. But it turns out her excitement just bounces back, and now she's even more eager to help him. After a few more questions, he drops his eraser, and in a panic, he realizes how this looks. Ojou leans down to grab it, and whoops, there goes his brain. Too many distractions. He insists it's fine, and can pick it up himself, but she insists she's happy to help. She leans down under the table, and he starts to sweat, wondering if he should have just left that eraser where it was. When she pops back up, apologizing for the commotion, he hands her a towel, hoping to alleviate her dizzy spell after bumping her head. She thanks him, and he thinks about how surprisingly nice it is to be here with her, even if things are a bit chaotic. As they continue studying, she gets really enthusiastic, congratulating him on getting 3 questions right. He marvels at her talent for compliments. Suddenly, she leans in, happy about helping him for the first time, and he's flustered again. Can she stop with the proximity? He finally asked her if she could shift to the opposite side, and as she moves, he feels a wave of relief wash over him. But then, just as she starts explaining something important, Tamakawa pops up out of nowhere, asking what they're up to. Suwa explains he's getting some tutoring, and it turns out Tamakawa is in the same boat. Aomoto tags along, and before they know it, Ojou organizes a group study session, agreeing to teach them both. Suwa thinks she looks like she's having a blast, which is a relief since he worries she was too dependent on others. Coming outside, he comments on the heat, and Ojou suddenly feels bad for falling asleep during their study session. He reassures her that it's no big deal since he managed to study. Meanwhile, Aomoto and Tamakawa are like 2 undercover spies, snapping pictures of the lovey-dovey couple. After a bit more talk, Suwa tells Ojou he wants to treat her for all her help. She lights up and eagerly picks something out. Suwa takes a sip of his drink, and Ojou spots it, her curiosity piqued. She asks if it's carbonated, and when he nods, she's shocked that she's never had one before. Apparently, it's a no-no at home. As she takes a sip, she asks if carbonation is really explosive, and Suwa raises an eyebrow, genuinely confused about where she heard that. They share some laughs, enjoying their drinks together. When she takes another sip and accidentally shakes the bottle too much, it erupts, spraying both of them. Suwa, completely flustered, hands her a towel as he stares at her wet clothes, trying not to stare. He awkwardly pleads for her to cover up a little more. The focus now shifts to the results of their makeup test. Suwa expresses his gratitude to Ojou as she applauds him, mentioning she was happy to assist. Tomokawa chimes in, revealing that she also passed, and proudly displays a photo of Suwa and Ojou together. Ojou is elated, describing it as a fantastic picture that she can't wait to show her father. However, Suwa is less enthusiastic about the picture going viral. He is practically pleading with Tomokawa to remove it, while Ojou is over the moon, fully immersed in their delightful snapshot. The scene shifts to Tomokawa, who lights up and asks if they should hit the arcade on the way back. Ojou beams at the idea, thrilled at the thought of trying it at least once. She turns to Suwa-san, inviting him to join, but he declines with a wave, explaining he's off to the supermarket instead. So thanks, but no thanks, Suwa. Brimming with excitement, she hurries off to grab her shoes, leaving Tomokawa and Yumoto tapping their feet as they wait. With everyone finally ready, their big day out begins, and the two friends share a silent pact. Today's the day they'll start calling her Kotane-chan. They've been waiting for the perfect moment, and this feels like it. She pops back, apologizing for the delay, and they leave together. Her eyes go wide as they step into the arcade, drawn to the stuffed animals lined up everywhere. She wonders aloud if there might be any bunnies hidden among them. Tomokawa, trying to keep it together while fumbling with Ojou's full name, points out some cute bunnies nearby. Ojou's enthusiasm is infectious. She declares she's going to give it a try. Tomokawa guides her, explaining how to move the claw with a button. Ojou puts her all into it, moving the arm carefully. It's almost picked up, and Omoto and Tomokawa cheer her on, saying it's close to the hole. But alas, she loses it just as quickly. Teary-eyed, she looks to Omoto, who advises her on technique, revealing a secret trick. Ojou is amazed, realizing there's an actual strategy involved. With newfound determination, she manages to snag a bunny, showcasing it with glee. Omoto and Tomokawa, still struggling with the idea of calling her Kotane, find it amusing how shy they get. They can't help but tease each other, acknowledging it's tough for them too. Ojou, filled with joy, announces she wants to try getting one for both of them now. Tomokawa wonders just how long she plans to keep playing this game. They spot a dance game nearby, and excitement builds. Ojou prepares for her next adventure, ready to show off her moves. Tomokawa explains the rules, and as the music kicks in, they start dancing. Omoto smirks, complimenting Ojou on her skills, and she responds with enthusiasm, ready to keep pushing herself. Meanwhile, Tomokawa reflects on how she thought Ojou was living in a completely different world, but watching her dance makes her feel closer to her. Just then, she notices the speed of the game ramping up and gets a bit overwhelmed. When she stumbles, Tomokawa instantly apologizes for picking a tough game, but Ojou's all smiles. Thrilled with the experience, she asks them to join her for another round, promising she'll give it her all next time. Afterward, they take goofy photos together, with Omoto guiding Ojou on how to pose. She wonders if she can write on the photo, and Tomokawa tells her about the stickers available. Ojou eagerly picks a friend's sticker, which makes bother friends blush. They finally gather the courage to ask if they can call her Kotane-chan. She lights up, excited and a bit flustered. She says she'll also drop the formalities for them, much to their delight. With the day winding down, they strike a perfect pose for their friendship photo. Tomokawa thanks Ojou for hanging out, and she happily replies that it was a blast. Omoto suggests they invite Suwa and Adachi next time, which Ojou thinks is a fantastic idea. Tomokawa, curious, asks if she's still hanging out with Suwa-san. Ojou grins shyly, revealing that they definitely are. He took her out to practice on the bars. They had a shoe-kicking contest and even hid together in a locker. Both Tomokawa and Omoto are taken aback, realizing they might not be officially dating yet, but their actions say otherwise.
Here I